3, 2, 1. Cool. That worked. Now we wait, dude.
Oh yeah, I had something. Check this out. It was like the top news right now.
What's that?
I'll grab it for you. Here it is. Your boy
Your boy.
was with our beloved.
My boy was with the beloved. Let's see. Who's this?
That was today. They were playing golf together.
Is that Darren Hast or Kid Rock?
That's Kid Rock.
That's Kid Rock. That's great. Fucking Kid Rock and Trump.
Yep.
Tramp!
Well, how do you feel about? What do you think about that, man? With the pants and everything.
I mean, I don't really have too much to say about that.
Was playing. I'd be interested to see
Who posted the picture, Trump or Kid Rock?
Kid Rock.
Of course, okay.
Another great day on the links. Thanks to the POTUS for having me and everyone at Trump International for being so wonderful. Great man, and keep America great. He said keep America great.
I don't really have anything to say.
Keep
Other than,
America
like,
great was Clinton phrase.
Gotcha.
Kind of ish.
Yeah. I don't have anything to say other than, like, of course it was Kid Rock.
Yeah, it makes
it makes a lot of sense that it was Kid Rock. That's about all I can say about that.
Kid Rock is so irrelevant, hanging out with Hair Fewer. The only way to get his name in the news. Sad.
Hair Fewer.
That's like
Damn.
top comment.
Yeah.
Sad. Then she finishes with sad.
Mein Führer? Mein Führer.
Oh yeah, mein Führer.
Oh, mein Führer,
Oh,
ja.
mein Führer. Very
Ja.
nice tie. I like your suit.
Oh, das ist a very nice suit, mein Führer.
Oh,
Ja.
thank you.
Ja, ja.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I'm glad you appreciate my suit. Oh, of course, mein Führer. Yes, das ist very nice, mein Führer.
How does it feel? Oh,
Fuck, do you see that?
yeah.
That was bad. That was probably a bad idea.
Suck it, dude. Let's see how the biggest cloud you can get.
What's up, boys? Today we're blowing clouds. That's pretty much the only concept. That's about it. Cloud talks. What should we call it? Cloud talks?
No, we could probably come up with a better name than that.
Hookah hootin'.
That's funny.
You like that one?
That's not bad, but
Hookah hootin' with the dudes. But yeah, I figure we'll pretty much just talk about life, you know?
yeah,
Talk about the important things.
yeah. Not the news,
Yeah. Fuck the news.
right? Or the social medias.
It's cool too. If you couldn't already tell, this is a behind the scenes from the H3 podcast that we're just hanging out. We're gonna be on the next episode of the H3 podcast. We're just sitting here on the set, you know, chilling. Here in a couple minutes, I don't know. We'll probably be hanging out with POTUS here in the Oval Office in about probably 5 minutes or so, I think, right? Somewhere around that.
It smells weird in here. I've heard that it smells like sulfur in the Oval Office.
Yeah,
Now that I'm actually here, I would say.
I can kind of see that. Yeah, it does smell kind of funky. But anyways, dude, tell me, how's life? How's life been?
Good.
What you got on your mind?
I'm just happy it's winter is over.
Yeah, it snowed this morning.
I know. Dude.
Speaking of winter being over, it snowed this morning.
But like nowadays, like I figured out that like it goes through this period, being up in Truckee, you realize like it goes through this period of just like constant rainstorms or snowstorms rather, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And then now that we're coming into spring, the way it works is like it'll just be super clear, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, a storm from the north or from the northwest or northeast.
Yeah.
So like from an inland storm will come in, because mostly during the wintertime, most of these storms were coastal storms.
Yeah.
Coming through from San Francisco over the mountain, over the summit. And now these ones are coming from the west, and they're a lot quicker and like sudden and like kind of like it's that's why also this area has monsoons. People would never think that Nevada has monsoons, but Nevada is very similar to an island climate.
Yeah.
Because of it's like completely flat, and then Nevada has the most mountain ranges out of any state.
Really?
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
But if you actually look in Nevada, you think it's flat, but it's actually like flat basin. I've driven across Nevada, like 50, all the way to Utah.
50,
and you
east,
get to see the entire state, and it's all just flat basin for miles, and then a little mountain range. So it's like this. And so what happens is, in those little mountain ranges, that's where Smith Valley is one of those mountain ranges. If you remember when we're in the middle of Nevada desert, and there's a bunch of birch trees.
Yeah.
Which need tons of water.
Yeah, that is true.
Constant water year round.
And we were wondering, like, how do these fucking trees survive out here?
It's so green. And then we figured out that night, it fucking literally, like, just like in Hawaii, how it rains every day because the air comes up, hits the mountain, and then collects a little...
So this is literally the kind of fucking climate that we were in. Right here. And it would just we were sitting there thinking, like, how the fuck do these birch trees survive? Like, this birch tree right here? It's a big fucking birch tree.
Birch trees need water, like, year-round. Like, water.
And then fucking, what do you know? In the middle of the Nevada desert, got hit by a fucking massive monsoon.
Yeah.
Massive. Torrential downpour.
And so it does that during the, the beginning of winter. I mean, the beginning of summer, rather. Sorry. The beginning of summer. And, history lesson, one of those types of storms is exactly what hit the Donner Party.
Yep.
Because they were coming over kind of a little in early summer, and one of those crazy storms came in, and that's kind of what killed them, Or they killed each other, they ate each other, but,
Yeah, they did kill each other.
That was almost what we went through. Except for it was just rain and it wasn't.
We were damn close, yeah. We almost were resulting to eating each other. To be completely fair.
Yeah. I wanted to eat Tyler.
Yeah. That's a big fuck. It's a lot of muscle, though. I feel like it'd be meaty.
Really lean.
It'd be tough. Well, yeah, it'd be lean, but it'd be very tough, Not a lot of fat, but very...
Calder might be like kind of like veal.
Yeah, Calder would be a good one to eat. Calder would have been a good one to eat.
And the pup. She was young. We would have definitely eaten her.
Yeah, we would have eaten her first. Yeah, veal for sure. Not a lot of meat, though, Probably would have been like one meal. Probably would have only been like one solid meal, probably.
What are you doing? Oh, just dusting
smashing them, dude.
I don't know much about hookahs.
I learned my way around a hookah a time or two.
Yeah. So is white gummy bear your favorite flavor?
Probably,
of all time?
Yeah, I would say so. The cold broke.
Did you think that, is that how it's always been? Does everybody think that white gummy bear is the best?
I feel like most people that try it are kind of like, yeah, it's my favorite. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because, when we were at the store, and you were just looking around, that guy's like, you looking for white gummy bear?
Yeah.
I love seeing the coals get bigger when you blow on it.
Yeah. Like the embers underneath. It's pretty sweet. Oh yeah, I was gonna give you a chord, huh?
So can I tell you, I guess I can tell you that one thing that I wanted to tell you about earlier about Stars Born.
Oh yeah.
I guess. So my theory was that You know those, like, essentially, The Star is Born was, like, really cool or whatever, and it was, like, mainstream, and it was also, like, kind of, like, country. And even, like, Lady Gaga was country, you know? And people liked it, you know? You know what really hurt Star is Born? Maybe was Bohemian Rhapsody. But either way, regardless, I think it, like, it had Lady Gaga in it, it had Bradley Cooper in it. I think it, like, made country kind of cool. I think some people thought, like, you know, or I think it, like, in terms of, like, the cultural zeitgeist, I think it sort of, like, made country not seem so, like, red Republican.
Okay. I'm still listening.
And I guess my overall point is that I think in the future, country music is gonna kind of become like an in thing, or like maybe not country music in the sense that we're used to listening to country music, but like in the sense that of like acoustical, sort of just like simple acoustical stuff.
That makes sense.
Similar to like music, kind of like A Star is Born. And I think the funny thing is so it's like, you know, people will say, well, that's not really country, and that's kind of my point. Like, I even think the people that'll be playing country type music will be like living in like New York City.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
You know, I mean, you know, like the hipster types, you know?
Yeah.
Like the indie kids or whatever.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think they'll be like pretending to dress up in like cowboy boots.
Oh, really?
And trying to like pretend to be like.
Okay. I could kind of. Yeah, I mean, I could kind of see that. I could definitely kind of.
Like it'll almost be like even I don't know like.
Yeah, I mean, I could see where you're coming from with that, though. That's going to kind of be... That'll be the new...
I'm seeing it as... I'm already seeing, like, trends. Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm already seeing kind of, like, trends towards that.
Like in who?
A lot of people. Just, like, kind of an overall... People are starting to kind of, like... I'm just seeing in music. Like, like I'm saying, independent music. Like, if you look on a lot of, like, the indie music, a lot of indie songs, it's just getting more, like... I think what's going to happen is you're going to see a lot of, like, there's a lot of electronic music, you know? People playing with electronics. You know what I mean? It's getting really overproduced. And what I think you're going to see is, what I think you're already starting to see is, like, this sort of reaction away from the electronics.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
It'll be like a complete like opposite. People will be like, we're not going to do the electronics anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
There's kind of like a complete reaction away from it.
Anyways, continue. I do agree, though, that there will kind of be a shift away from...
all the electronics.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that movie was definitely big enough to kind of force that.
Like, I think it'll be people like... I think obviously the indie thing will be a thing.
Yeah.
But it'll be a thing in the indie thing. But I even think like...
that mainstream will kind of...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I think you'll even hear, like, Justin Bieber songs that are, like,
I could definitely kind of see
For example, Post Malone's been talking about
I was going to say Post Malone would be a big example of that. And that would be kind of the most prominent example of,
And it won't sound like country music.
No, it'll sound just like A Star is Born, which...
kind of, yeah.
I mean, yeah, in that sense. It's not country how we're used to hearing country.
It's the country arrangement, so the country... all the country aesthetics, like I said, the cowboy boots,
cowboy hats,
the flannels, the guitars and the basses and the Telecasters.
Yeah,
but it'll be written by pop writers in LA and stuff, and it won't be about trucks.
Exactly, it'll be about. I feel like it'll be more about love and just like A Star is Born.
Exactly.
Yeah. Just like the, maybe it's time to let the old ways die.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time to let the old ways die.
Exactly.
And it takes a lot to try.
And it'll be a complete sham.
Yeah.
It'll be an absolute, it'll be such a bad sham to the sense to where it'll literally kill country music.
Really?
Yeah.
You think so?
I think that's how it's going to happen.
A sham in what sense? A sham of like what it's based off of?
It'll be the end of guitar music as we know it. I think guitar music will probably be gone within the next 50 years. That's a pretty conservative.
Within the next 50 years?
Yep.
Yeah.
And
guitars will be like the new banjo.
Yep.
Yeah.
It'll be very dated.
Yeah.
It'll be a period piece sort of instrument.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We'll move into electronic music. But like it's very important, like what I've said, I really thought about this. Like like the country music thing, this whole like acoustical thing will be a result of the reaction to modern music. Like modern music's coming around, so people will sort of like I'm trying to think of like a good example. Like I can't think of a good example. And we're just going to get dead air from it. But I'm just trying to think of like... Yeah, I just think it'll be like the cap off. Like, I guess the most obvious example that I was thinking of that I didn't want to bring up was like essentially like punk. Like how punk is cool and then essentially punk becomes mainstream.
Yeah.
And then once it became mainstream, it kind of like cool killed itself. Yeah. You know what I mean? And now there's not really any punk music that's like legitimate punk music.
That makes sense.
Except for like punk music, like punk will always stay alive as like a thing. You know, like rappers are pretty much the punk musicians nowadays. Yeah. You know that it's still stay alive as like a cultural thing or whatever. But like, it's kind of like how memes go to die on PewDiePie. You know what I mean? Like once it hits the mainstream, it sort of just becomes like
once Pewds has it in a meme review, it's kind of that's the point where the meme is dead.
Because that's like the main stage, and once it's been seen on the main stage, there's no reason for it to be there anymore. I don't know.
I agree with that.
And people almost like ruin it. They use the joke too much, you know.
Yeah.
You hear it on the radio too much, and then you get tired of it. I don't know.
I get what you're saying.
That's the other thing. Like, I just think that, like, with all the electronic music nowadays, and as it continues and continues, I think, like, a lot of instruments are just going to be, like music in the future will just be, like, all electronics. Yeah. Like, I don't think people really play instruments.
Do you think electronic in the sense of, like, house-style music, or electronic in the sense of simulated instruments?
Both.
Okay.
But I think house is definitely, like, a genre of the future.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
I think a lot of that, like, droney house electric stuff, like the beat music, the dance music.
Yeah. Club music.
Yeah.
Yeah. Less lyrical and more...
Yeah.
Just kind of...
Dude, lyrics...
Pure beats. Or pure...
If you think about, like, the storyline and history, the lyrics to music, it's very short and, like, very, like... Yeah, I don't know. It's... Music with words is, like, a kind of a newish thing. And I think in the future it'll sort of be as hacky. Or, like... That's why I think Little Pump is so revolutionary, dude, is because... Like, I think a lot of it will just be, like, really basic lyrics to stuff, you know? Yeah. I think Lil Pump, I think it's unfortunate that he continues to, like, he hasn't really, well, you know, give him time, but, like, he thinks, he did this thing with Gucci Gang where he just kept saying it, you know, the lyrics were really simple, and he's trying to use that formula with Skid It, so on and so forth. But it works, kind of, you know? And I think, like, even with house music, it'll just be, like, some phrase, like, dance and lose your mind.
Yeah. I get what you mean. It'll be very repetitive and...
Yeah.
I mean, we've always kind of said, too, though, with, like, the repetitive music, like, the benefit of the repetition is that it's easy to remember. You know what I mean? Like, how many times do you have to listen to Gucci Gang to know every word? You know what I mean?
That's true.
Like, it might take a minute to learn the verses that he does, but, like, you can fucking jam along to the song because it's 90% Gucci Gang, 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 Gucci Gang. You know what I mean?
I fuck a bitch with a red ring. Do a bunch of coke, forgot her name.
Yeah.
Isn't that how it goes?
Yeah, pretty much. Lil Pump still selling that meth? That's one of the lines.
That stuff, I don't know. Rap. I'm interested to see like how long rap will stay in the mainstream. Because it's like pretty much mainstream music nowadays.
Yeah, all mainstream music is rap pretty much. A small bit of pop. But.
Well, I think it'll stay. What I think it'll happen is I think rap music will just change so much where it's not even rap music anymore. I don't know.
That's an interesting thought. Very interesting thought.
I don't know. I just think about like what music will sound like when we live in space. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like to think about that a lot. Like to get like far gone and then just think about like what's music gonna sound like when we're in space. You know what I've heard? I've heard that instead of living on like other planets, we'll just live in like giant like
floating communities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever seen Elysium?
Mm-mm.
Bummer. You ever seen like Interstellar?
No. Bummer. Is it kind of like the BioShock Infinite thing in a sense? Okay.
Just giant floating cities essentially. Yeah. But these are like, you know, circular.
Yeah.
And they're like a dome almost, and they have like, you know.
That's interesting. Yeah, the BioShock Infinite thing's kind of interesting. Or like, what other, like Destiny? Did you ever play Destiny?
I watched you play it.
Okay,
and I watched Calder play it a little bit.
So if you, it's kind of hard to explain if you haven't played the storyline yourself, but I believe it was called, I haven't played it in a couple years now, so forgive me if I'm wrong. I think it's called The Traveler, though. It's essentially this big, it's like a planet type of thing, but it's like tethered to another planet by like big like steel cables.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's The Traveler. Give me a minute so that I can, because I want you to see what I'm talking about, and I also want to see if it's called The Traveler. I know The Traveler is a thing in Destiny, but I don't know if it's what I'm thinking of. You know
exactly.
What I mean?
I know what you mean.
Or wait, no, it's not it's not The Traveler that I'm thinking of. It's the Tower in Destiny. So, I wonder if it's going to show a picture of it without it being in game. So essentially, this is like Earth down here, or the Traveler, one of the two, and this is the tower that they're up on, and it's a big, fuck all floating tower. That there's like cables going down right here. It's like way the fuck up and tethered to the ground. You know what I mean?
What goes on in there?
It's like just the central hub for the Guardians.
For the Guardians?
Yes. So like the Guardians and then the people that work in the tower. Like there's
who are the Guardians? The warrior class?
Yes. Like the people who aren't the aliens down on the ground. The Guardians is what you play as.
The aliens down on the ground?
There's like aliens on the ground.
And are they bad people?
Yes.
Just people you slaughter?
Yes, pretty much. Like there's like, I don't know, just a bunch of different, there's like a bunch of fucking weird ass bosses and shit on the ground too. You know what I mean? Like there's different races. Like the Cabal are like these big brute.
What are they called?
The Cabal.
Kabal,
I believe.
Okay.
Why? Why did you find that so interesting?
Just because they continue. That's a word.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, what is...
A cabal is like a very famous word for a group of usually shadowy folks.
Okay.
Who like sort of like conspire in shadowy rooms to conquer the world.
Okay. That's fucking hilarious. Yeah. Because in Destiny 2,
that's why they
essentially
would call them that.
Steal all the so the Guardians fucking, we're on such a tangent, but it's a good
perfect,
one.
Dude.
So the Guardians have this thing. I also, like I said, haven't played the game in forever, so I'm probably slaughtering the fucking storyline of it. Probably. But the Guardians have this thing called Light, essentially. And it's...
The Force?
No, not really. It's, The Light is like... Have you seen the ghosts in Guardians?
No.
Okay, so they have like this little thing called a ghost. It's like a little orb that follows them, kind of. And the Guardians and the ghosts, they believe, have light. And that's essentially what allows them to use, like, their supers... and be able to revive themselves.
Yeah, so it's kind of like the Force in Star Wars, where it's
I haven't watched Star Wars.
Oh, well, it's just this magical power that you have.
Okay. Yeah, so similar.
Like the Jedis had the Force. That was their magic.
So, essentially, the Cabal in the second one stole all the Guardians' light
Okay.
And then was trying to take over the Traveler, I believe.
They're using the Force for evil?
Essentially, yeah. And, like, had the, like, Traveler, like, encased in, like, I think they took the Guardian's light and converted it into some sort of dark energy and then encased the Traveler in it, and you have to go and, like, fix it. But, like, for the first part of the campaign, like, you don't have your little ghost with you.
Right.
Your ghost gives you, like, GPS directions and...
It's your R2-D2.
Yeah. And, like, your ghost, like, allows you to, like... That's where you get, like, your stamina and stuff from. Like, from your light. So it's, like... The first mission of the campaign, you couldn't sprint. It was walking only. Like, a bunch of stuff. You know what I mean? You didn't have any directional sense because you didn't have your light and stuff. But it was an interesting concept that you said that Cabal are people that kind of conspire because in the second one they...
Yeah.
But the first one, they didn't really play into it. So I wonder if it was an intentional thing that they named them that, but didn't really do anything with it in the first one.
Oh, it's definitely intentional.
No, I know that the name is intentional, but I'm saying they didn't really conspire against anything in the first one. The first one didn't really have anything to do with the Cabal very much.
Right.
They were just kind of there, and they're just brutes. Like, whoa. You know that big fat fuck? Let's see. Duke Devil. They were mining the planet for the light. Thank you very much. I knew I was fucking something up. So yes, thank you, and that just sparked my memory. The Cabal had these big-ass drills that they would just plant up everywhere. And they were mining the planet for light.
Okay.
And then using it for evil.
Yeah.
But the first Destiny didn't really have anything to do with the Cabal too much. They were just kind of big, ugly fucks that stormed around the planet. But you know that big fat fuck pop that I have? That looks like fucking Boba Fett?
Yeah.
So that's one of the Cabal from Destiny.
Are the Cabal the main people on the planets?
No, I would say that the Fallen probably are.
Who are the Fallen?
They're, I don't know exactly. There's a fucking whole, like, lore of why they're called the Fallen, and I'm fucking drawing a blank. Just because it's...
What do they look like, though? And what do they do?
I'll show you. They're more like, a bunch of them can go invisible and fucking... but there's the Cabal. So, like, they each have, like, their own, like, regions, too, you know what I mean? Where they're primarily found.
Right.
But there's the Fallen, there's the Cabal, and then there's the Hive. And the Hive look like, those people from Halo.
Yeah.
The, like,
just
fleshy...
very reptile-y.
No, the fleshy ones. Like, you used to have the big fuck-all head that was, like, pregnant, and you'd shoot them, and the babies all came out.
Yeah,
that's, like, what the Hive look like. They look like, are Thrall from Skyrim, or is Thrall from Destiny? That's why I'm thinking of it.
Yeah, probably.
I'll show you. Hive. They look kind of like Daedra from Skyrim, you know? They're all just like this. Oh, fuck, that's a fucking awful picture. Like this. They're like fleshy, skin and bones, kind of like...
They're all just hordes.
You played Skyrim. Like Draugrs, very much like the Draugrs and skeletons and things like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, that's their kind of big thing too, is they always come in like massive hordes of these.
So who else? There's the Guardians, and then who else live in the tower?
In the tower, it's just the Guardians.
Is there like a head Guardian?
First one, there was the Speaker. And he was like the fucking guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then there were like heads of each. So you can have like 3 different classes. Hunter, Warlock, and Titan. Then there was like your head Hunter, head Warlock, and head Titan. It was like Lord Shax, some black girl, and Cade.
Yeah. Was
the head hunter. I don't know the black girl's name because I didn't ever play a warlock. Some bitch. But they were like the heads of each. And then just, since it's an all online only game, the tower essentially just hosted like, you would go into servers of 50, I think.
Cool.
So it was just 50 randos in the tower. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was like just a generic social space. They had like there was a postmaster and a gunsmith.
Right.
Yeah, those sorts of things.
Yeah, I was listening to, like, Jeff Bezos. He was saying that, like, he thinks that, like, he was making fun of Elon Musk, the whole thing about Mars, and, like, oh, people are going to live on Mars one day. And he's like, if you think we're going to go live on Mars one day, go live on Mount Everest for a week without any jackets or anything, and then try to tell me that you want to live on Mars.
Yeah.
Like, that you ever want a vacation to Mars or whatever. Because Mount Everest would be like a vacation compared to Mars.
Yeah.
And so he was like, what I think that it's going to be is that people will just live like in space and on space, but in these like giant orb communities that essentially replicate Earth's
I've heard that kind of concept.
Earth's environment.
Which is kind of like why I said the BioShock Infinite thing. In just a sense. I don't remember why in BioShock Infinite they had the fucking floating cities.
Well, it's almost always because Earth has become almost like a wasteland.
Yeah, okay, so I was going to say, I've heard it from the wasteland sense also of building those kind of communities, but I've also heard it as like an overpopulation type thing.
That's the other thing.
Where like Earth just becomes so populated that we need a place to go.
Yep.
So what are the two options? You go underground or you go in the sky?
Yeah.
In the sky, at least you still have fucking fresh oxygen and sunlight, you know what I mean? Whereas underground, you fucking go the way of the Lemurians. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And that's kind of funny, too, that we were talking about
Go
Destiny.
blind.
The Thrall live underground and are all blind.
Yeah, they're blind,
Yeah.
yeah. There's no reason to have eyes.
Exactly. And they have crazy good hearing, and they're fast as shit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, though, is that, like, he was also saying the next, like, entrepreneurs, like the people that we love today, like Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Steve Jobs, those people will be essentially making missiles, like rockets, and mining asteroids. Because, like, there's, like, some asteroids out there. Oh, I'm talking out of my ass. But, like, there's asteroids out there that are just made of, like, pure, just, like, they have, like, as much, like, diamonds in them as, like, continents on Earth. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
And so it's, like, everything will go out the window in terms of, like, minerals.
Okay.
Like, we will just be, like everything on here, it'll essentially be, like, once we get to that level where we're mining asteroids, there'll be no reason. It'll be, like, non-profitable to mine on Earth. If that makes any sense. It'll be easier to get the minerals up there because they just become impurities.
Exactly.
Whereas, like, on Earth, you have, like, this, and there's, like, a tiny little bit of,
100%,
plutonium or whatever. But out there, there's, like, giant asteroids.
Yeah, the whole entire asteroid is made of the material.
Exactly.
98%
or, like,
of that
60%.
exactly,
of it, you know what I mean?
Is made of that material.
And that's just insane.
Whereas it's 2% in this chunk on Earth.
So all the heavy industry will be off planet, and then Earth will just be sort of this, like, it's already starting to happen in California. Why they've just, like, national parked everything, made it illegal to lumber everything. They're just getting ready for this thing and Earth will be like a planet where, like, essentially all the rich people will live in off planet. And then just, like, the poor, like, it'll just be, like, the entirety of Earth will just be, like, Africa.
That makes sense.
Would you go into space? As a grandpa, you know what I mean? Like, your kid, all your family's going up into this nice little, like, cool, like, BioShock community or whatever.
I mean, yeah, probably.
Would you go with your family?
Maybe.
It's, like, 100% safe and everything.
Yeah, I mean, that's, like, one of the things. Like, you gotta, like, if they like you said, if they exactly replicated Earth and you have internet,
it's like being on a cruise ship.
Yeah, if you have internet and you have okay, so the biggest thing is communication with Earth is the biggest downfall that I've heard people agree with, and I kind of agree with that. Like,
what do you mean?
Would you still be able to have communication with people on Earth?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So then, yeah.
Like Skype calls.
Yeah. So then, yes. Yeah, I would. It'd be like moving cities, essentially.
It would.
And there's always, I'm sure there's, at that point, there would always be a way to go back.
Yeah.
It'd be essentially like taking a flight back.
Yeah.
Probably more expensive, albeit, but
well,
more expensive and less frequent.
They were saying stuff like, once we get on the moon, you can essentially, like, oil. Here's the thing people don't realize. There's so many things that are combustible liquids, right? The reason we use oil's not even a good combustible liquid. The thing about oil is there's just so much of it.
Yeah.
There's so much of it, so you can run the entire energy system on oil. So once you get, once we get on the moon, you can essentially just all the rockets will just be ran on moon rock.
Gotcha.
Like there's something in moon rock that you can run the fuel source on.
Makes sense.
So we'll just constantly mine the moon until it's gone.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Peace out, fuckwits.
But yeah, so like DPs, I mean not DP, threesomes, gangbangs, man. I'll tell you, man, like one of my big things is I'm not big into porn stars. Like I like much more like just amateur videos where just some guy just turned the camera on.